Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for Corn Sunday as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen from an act named Collage titled, this is translated, Mother's Sorrow Among Thousands of Blossoms. This is off of the Memento Mori album and we're going to listen through it from start to finish and we're going to hear what we think. Just make the art big on the screen so you all can see it, and let's go, let's do it. Number 3, I suppose. Got some lyrics here as well for people to check out if they need it. Interesting combination of textures. Great combination of woodwinds and flutes here. Strings and flutes, should I say. Great trade-off to the leads here after the cleans on the... Sounds like it's from an earlier time. Bit of edge there, nice work with the fry. So incredibly active and full. That was fantastic. That was a really pretty song. There is a lot going on in it, like just from the person stepping on the heels at the start, the little plucks, the bells, to a full-on track, full bore near the end. We're gonna take a look through the lyrics, and we're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. So I want to make a quick comment on web design. You'll notice that if I make this 400%, this translation thing is It's just in the corner here and it's not really showing the complete word. You would assume that it would. Translations has enough room there's enough room there for it to be able to go across. But the problem is the only way that you're going to get that to actually feature full sentences is as if you as if you unzoom it. You go out. So the moment I can see it, you can't see it. So just a note, if you are doing web design, it can be good to figure out a way of getting rid of that window there so that you can actually have the thing there that people give a shit about nice and big on the screen. But moving on, we have the lyrics again. Kindly provided by Corn Sunday here. Afternoon, I stayed home alone. A sudden thunderstorm drenched clothes outside the window. The one who went out has not come back yet, so they're waiting for that person to come back. Stay here all night watching the light flickering. I stay here all night waiting for the one I lost. I was informed that this track, despite the band claiming it was based on personal experiences, apparently it's linked to Taiwan's martial law White Terror period, where I am assuming that people disappeared. And I'm thinking that this is potentially related to that. I can understand potentially wanting to avoid that direct connection maybe and wanting to sort of, because a lot of people can relate to people just not coming home, whether it's like a relationship thing or someone passes away or something like that. But it's just an interesting parallel and I appreciate the extra context. Yeah, I can recall the moment you raised up your flag. The room is like rainstorm flying all over the street. The changes. Namo Avalokiteshvara. Dear God, if you really foresee this tragedy, would you look after him on that bumpy road he's going to walk? My withering love and your silent heart in this dark era, we were doomed to stay separated. Words, letters I can't finish, but and still lots to talk to. The gunfire never stops. People's gone, no one survived, only ashes remained. Rain is falling slightly. Here comes morning light. See you, smile slightly. See you in the next life. Damn, man. That's terrible. That's a really sad story. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Collage titled, translated again, Mother's Sorrow Among Thousands of Blossoms. Now, what I think this track is about, I think it's simultaneously trying to tell a story where, you're talking about someone disappearing from your life and not knowing where they were and not knowing what happened to them and holding out hope and realizing that they have passed away and that's the storm ending. And maybe the storm was the danger or the terror that was going on. But then it also could have been due to the martial law stuff that I was discussing earlier. It's that applies for both. I think that it's a beautifully told story, very sad, very tragic. It's like this, the thing about the sun and then like them smiling a bit and seeing them in the next life. It's just very visceral. You get the feeling that this track, regardless of what their specific one intention was, is very personal to them. It's something that the musicians clearly really care about, and that love for music and that intent comes through within this piece. The vocals are sung tremendously well. It's not the entire time with the vocals. We have like the steppies and the piano parts at the start with the bells, and it creates this interesting atmosphere at the beginning. But you have this lady come in with a really polished mid-range head chest voice, fine. We stay in a similar intensity for a lot of it. There are some growly bits that come in later on, which might be a different vocalist or the same person. But either way, that difference in tone and texture was fantastic. There's variations in the amount of power we have there. It's not huge differences. There's like some backing vocals that go into the mains as well. We'll get backwards and forwards like in the second verse. It's a track where I think the storytelling's important, but you can also appreciate it as someone who doesn't understand the language natively. I think that the way they sounded like they were sad. And the growl and the grit and the fry they had in certain bits that was their voice and their frustration, their anger at the situation. I think that was really effective. The track at 3:56 is really fleshed out. Again, well fleshed out again. We had the beginning with the footsteps and the piano and stuff like that, and it starts building itself up slowly. And you come in about 20 seconds in. You have like plucked instruments there, filling the stereo field there, pad-like effects there, and you have a really well played kit from the drummer who clearly knows what they're doing. The bass is subtle. The piano picks up a bit more later on, gets a bit more active, and the guitars as well, with some sort of like more sort of either arpeggiated or strummed elements there, going more into a bit of overdrive or distortion later on there, a bit of fuzziness, where the lead break in the middle there was really well phrased and really tasteful. It wasn't necessarily like a massive departure from what was going on with the vocal melodies. It was just more, I think, a shift in the perspective or the focal point of the mix. And I appreciate the fact that we still tried to, we like added variety there without alienating things. But yeah, I think there was a phenomenal sense of groove with the drummer, very capable across the kit. Some of those snare fills and rolls and stuff were great. Really sort of like subtle with the kick and snare patterns and the hi-hats there. We did get a bit more intense later on, explored some tom parts and the crash and all the other elements of the kit there. But we had a similar eighth note pattern the entire time that allowed things like the bass to push forward with us at the same time there. Very sort of like comfortable in the root notes there. We didn't really have too much wild stuff going on with the bass guitar. It was more sort of applying different colors and textures in a track which was compositionally, in terms of instrumental layers, it was complicated. It wasn't an easy song to write. I think part of it was, again, those occasional bells there, and like you have the bum 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 bum, and you have some upper level flutes and stuff like that, and little melodies and ideas in different parts of the stereo field that create, again, that environment that is built on top of the core elements of the guitar, bass, drums, and piano there. The piano filling in the need to have more sort of reinforcement of the harmonies there in that mid-range. Things were well stacked. We had plenty of room to do what we needed to in regards to telling a story as a vocalist, and the instrumental performances were really tight. And there was this main idea that was almost so peaceful, despite some of the intensity of the vocal fry and the screams or growls there. You get the feeling that they're almost trying to just take it as it is and live with it, even though it would have been an incredibly scary time. I feel like maybe if they'd been too aggressive with it, they were concerned that it might have been a little bit too on the nose with what they were potentially discussing. And I think that, despite that, it was tasteful, elegant, mature. I think especially with some of the radio filterish kind of bits there, where it maybe went back to a time where that occurred there, where the audio was a bit more low-key and you heard stuff on the radio, or there were like reports of stuff going on there. I just think this track, it would be so difficult for a lot of people to maybe even listen to the stories that were told here and not feel strong, heavy emotions. So I think if the music had been too dark, it would have been a bit too much for a lot of people. It might have seemed like we were going a bit extra with it. So I think there was enough variety with the instrumental patterns there, the guitars, pianos, bass, drums, the various bells and sort of plucked instruments and woodwinds and all those kind of bits there, bits of foley, the person talking, going backwards and forwards in time there, trying to figure out what's going on. I think that the studio recording, mixing and mastering, with the understanding that the structure, which is really well handled with the different verse and chorus parts there, the development of the track, adding extra instruments later on there, the structure was totally fine. The recording was the actual studio quality was commercial grade there. It was so wonderful how clear the guitars, bass drums, pianos, everything was in the mix. The vocals weren't overproduced. There was dynamic range. Things were in the same loudness the entire time. It was nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression limiting was handled. It was just a really stellar first impression of Collage's work, and I thank you very much for watching my review of this track from Collage, titled Mother's Sorrow Among Thousands of Blossoms. And hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias. And I want to say this one thing before I go really quickly. I think that some of the melodies there were maybe more common with music from that period. The way they wrote those melodies were maybe used in music from that time, so they were also trying to harken back with some of those sequences there. That's just something that was on my mind before I finished. But anyways, if you enjoyed this track, please do go show these musicians some love via their various social medias and the Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next SP Patrons video. Spiderhands out.